Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie. Ignore all the laundry. I'm gonna be doing it later. Today though, I am so excited to be doing a reading vlog of Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, which is the sequel to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I just cringed so hard saying it like that. I'm so sorry. This time last year, I read that book and it was my first read of 2023. I absolutely loved it. It was my first 5-star and it ended up my #2 book of 2023. So I have such high expectations for the sequel, which I do have my little hands on an arc, which makes me very nervous because when I have high expectations, it doesn't always work out for me. But I know I'm just gonna love the series regardless, and I'm gonna continue. The author recently, I think on Instagram, said that she finished the manuscript of the 3rd book and it's her favorite so far. Which is like, oh, that's so nice to hear. This is going to be spoiler free. That being said though, there are spoilers just in the synopsis of the 2nd book for the 1st book. So if you haven't read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies yet, and you don't want to be spoiled, you have now been warned. Just know what you're getting into, okay? I got this arc back in like March or April, and I'm just now opening it. I wanted to wait for 2024. Here it is. Okay, let's read the synopsis together. When mysterious fairies from other realms appear at her university, curmudgeonly Professor Emily Wilde must uncover their secrets before it's too late in this heartwarming, enchanting 2nd installment of the Emily Wilde series. I've missed Emily so much. Emily Wilde is a genius scholar of fairy folklore. She just wrote the world's first comprehensive encyclopedia of fairies. She's learned many of the secrets of the hidden folk on her adventures, and also from her fellow scholar and former rival, Wendell Bambleby. Because Bambleby is more than infuriatingly charming, he's an exiled fairy king. There's your big spoiler for book #1. On the run from his murderous mother and in search of a door back to his realm. So despite Emily's feelings for Bambleby, she's not ready to accept his proposal of marriage. Another big spoiler. Loving one of the fair folk comes with secrets and danger, and she also has a new project to focus a map of the realms of fairy. While she's preparing her research, Bambleby lands her in trouble yet again when assassins sent by Bambleby's mother invade Cambridge. Now Bambleby and Emily are on another adventure, this time to the picturesque Austrian Alps, where Emily believes they might find the door to Bambleby's realm and the key to freeing him from his family's dark plans. But with new relationships for the prickly Emily to navigate and dangerous folk luring in every forest and hollow, Emily must unravel the mysterious workings of fairy doors and of her own heart. I feel like there's gonna be a heartbreaking scene where she's gonna have to like say goodbye to Bambleby, and it's gonna be devastating. But then they're like gonna end up together again, so. I'm in this for the fairies. I'm in this for Emily's type A personality. I'm in this for the footnotes, and hopefully we get another section where there's like short stories of the folktales in there. I love that shit in book 1. And for the banter between Bambleby and Emily. Also, sometimes I refer to Bambleby as Bartleby. I know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about, let's just ignore it. Okay, I'm gonna get started. It is, let's paint a picture. It's Saturday evening. I'm gonna hunker down and read this book. I'm not planning on finishing it tonight so that I can take you along with some fun activities tomorrow. But yeah, let's see how far I can get.
I've seen the world on my own, but it doesn't look the same. Black and blue, and I don't know why I ever looked away. The sun is always shining, even when it goes away. Until it comes.
I just love the way this is written.
Here to light the way. We're better together. Better together. We're better together. See the world through the lens of us. Every time I look at you, the color fills the open skies in ways I never knew. So waves of change are coming, crashing into blue. Right until the morning light, I'm holding on to you. We're better together. Better together.
All right, last night I got about, let's see, 16% into Map of the Otherlands, and it kicked off pretty quick. There was a little bit of info dumping for book one, but you know, I'm gonna forgive it. But it got very fantastical very quickly, sort of like the level of fantasy that the end of book one had, which was a little wild for me. But I thought it was really fun. I just love how it's written. I love how it feels old-timey. I love the banter between the two main characters. The author has such a strong grasp of who they are, and it just comes across so flawlessly. I adore it. So I'm just gonna hunker in and try to get to 50%. Let's see. They're about to go off onto their Austrian adventure. And there are a few new characters, including Emily's niece, who is also a very academic, a little bit younger, very excited type of character. And it's funny seeing her and Emily together because they're so completely different. Emily is such a grump and I love it. There is actually another person going with them on this expedition. It's like their boss. He's the department head of like the ferry department in this Cambridge University. And he's so annoying and I hate him. And so does everyone else, and I wish he wasn't going on this trip. I kind of just wish it was Emily and Bumblebee, but I trust Heather Fawcett. She knows what she's doing. Okay, I'm 37% in now. Let me tell you some of my little notes I've put in. First of all, I love how dramatic Bumblebee is. He's so dramatic and I love it. The fact that he gets so whiny whenever he has to like walk or hike or climb things, and he's like, oh, I love it. It's interesting, this guy, their like boss, his name is Rose. We're getting a little bit more nuance with him, which I'm happy about. But his interactions with Emily are interesting because he's also very logical, but he is so against her being with Wendell or trusting him at all. And I feel like he's gonna get in her head and she's gonna wonder if Wendell's just gonna get bored of her because he's this fairy. Jesus. I do like how they're referencing and bringing up characters from book one, like Poe, who was probably my favorite side character. They talked about how sweet he was. And some of the other characters too. I really like that. I hate it in an episodic sort of story or series where the Emily Wilde series, where she goes to different places in each book. But I like that they're kind of stringing the story along and it's not completely a standalone. I feel like that ups the stakes and makes the interactions between the characters more memorable, because it's like, oh, we know these characters aren't gonna forget these random side characters they meet in this country. They're gonna think about them in the next 100 books. I hope the series goes on forever. As for the little side animals, Shadow is Emily's familiar and I'm obsessed with him, but she keeps referring to him in this one as old, and I'm so scared he's gonna die because I don't think she once referenced that he was old in book one. And then they're talking about Wendell's cat, who he really misses, who's like back in his homeland. I hope we get to meet the cat. I don't know. I have a theory about that I won't get into, but I'll let you know if I was right. I can't remember because I haven't reread Emily Wilde Encyclopedia of Fairies at all, which is crazy. I can't remember if they referenced the cat in book one, but I want to meet this cat and I want it to fall in love with Emily. As for the plot, it is a little slow. I get when people say that they don't vibe with this story because it's very slow paced. If you enjoy people figuring out how to figure out a mystery, you're gonna like this series, you know what I mean? I like the planning and the excavating and the exploring part of this so much. I'm at the part right now where Emily and Rose are on a little trail and Emily's trying to find the door to Wendell's home, but the sort of backstory is that she's trying to find this lost professor who was around these parts and suddenly disappeared like 50 years ago. And I feel like something big is about to happen, so that's exciting. Let's show them the
Whoa. Alright, first off, I need this green piece.
like, what's in the middle? My hand's shaking, I need dinner.
Don't break it.
His little smile. He looks so happy. He wants a hug. Daddy. Feels wrong now. Cheese. No! Poor baby. Let me hold him like a little baby. Rock-a-bye, booty. Good morning. I've been laying around reading Emily Wilde and I'm now at 67%. Let me see what I've written down. I have some notes. Oh, I was gonna say for this book and obviously the last book, I like how the journal entry type of writing gives you a feeling of catching up. And it's so funny because I'll forget that we're reading Emily writing in her journal. We'll get into a very plot heavy moment and then the next entry will happen and she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just survived the night. And it'll take me back being like, oh, like she was safe that whole time and I totally forgot about it. Another note I have is that one of my favorite things is how Wendell decorates his even temporary homes. I love that shit. I love hearing about him decorating and buying rugs and mirrors and I love that shit. And then obviously I love the atmosphere in this book. It's almost the same sort of atmosphere that Ninth House gives me, not the same atmosphere. Like that is very graveyard cemetery atmosphere and this is very let's go frolic in the mushroom fields atmosphere, but they have the same potency. It's just as believable, it's just as detailed, and it makes me want to read it no matter what is happening. Something I do find interesting, that's not true, it's not interesting, I was trying to be nice, but a tiny little thing I like more in the first book than in this book is that in the first book, they sort of made that place their home, whereas in this cabin that they're staying at, it feels very temporary, and even the village that they're staying at, they're not really introducing or talking to many of the people there, so I don't feel very close to it, and I really liked that element in the first book. Obviously the author did too, because we're getting characters brought up again, and I just don't see it happening for this, and maybe that is the author thinking ahead that she doesn't want us to get attached to this town too, so that she doesn't have to keep bringing it up and it's not going to be as jarring to go to the next place. But I would rather get close, you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe you don't know what I mean. There's nothing I would love more than to just binge the rest of this right now, but I have to go to the dentist, which I am being so pouty about. I don't want to do it. I went on Friday to get my x-rays and just to like come up with a plan. And today, Monday, I have my first set of fillings that they're going to perform. Fillings are really no big deal. After I've gotten a few root canals, like fillings are nothing, but it's been a long time since I gotten one. So I'm a little nervous. I'm trying to figure out how I can treat myself after. I do have to get groceries. I think I'll get some more flowers for myself. And what would be appropriate that would tie into this book? Maybe some sort of pastry? I don't know. I'll keep my eyes out for something Emily Wilde-ish to get. It is kind of nice though, knowing that while I'm in the torture chair being drilled, that's what she said, I'll be thinking that I have more to read for Emily Wilde. So like, it'll help me not stay in the moment of torture. It'll help me think ahead. That's good, that's good. Okay, so my day definitely did not go according to plan. I show up at the dentist and they say they're having problems contacting my insurance, which is weird because I was there 2 days ago and they were fine. And they said that the only way I could get in is if I pay the full amount without insurance, and it's $1,600. So I left and I was kind of annoyed because it seems like something I'd be happy about. Like, oh yay, I don't have to get drilled in the face. Sorry. I'm sorry, that's never not gonna be funny. But actually, I had hyped myself up so much and I had dreaded it the whole morning. And the only way it was gonna be worth all of that torture mentally was to be 3 cavities less afterwards. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, man, I'm so annoyed. Giant bug. I'm sorry. Oh, gross. And so I'm kind of in a bad mood and I feel so defeated. So I walk across the street and I'm like, you know what's gonna make me feel better? Going to PetSmart and looking at the cats. Now, I thought this would make me feel better, and it didn't, because I fell in love, my friends. A deep, soulful, never-ending, earth-shattering love with a cat named Kai. And I called my husband and I was like, can I please get him? I begged, my friends. It did not work. And you know what? Grant was thinking logically. Good for him, because one of us in this relationship needs to, but So I walk out of PetSmart and I'm near tears because I feel crushed emotionally and extra emotionally. And I just go to the supermarket. They're out of Diet Dr. Pepper, which is my soda. Literally all of the sodas are in stock. They have no Diet Dr. Pepper. The entire thing is just empty. I'm sure I'm showing you some footage right now. They were out of my tomato soup. They were out of tomatoes. Like what? So I retaliated. To who? I'm not sure. But I went and I got some really expensive sushi at my favorite sushi place. But after eating and watching Gilmore Girls, I feel much, much better. I'm so annoyed that this thing happened with the dentist though, because I am so ready to just be like, okay, you know what? We're gonna try this again next year. Anyway, now I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna finish Emily and make my day better. It's gonna be great. If only I had an Elf King boyfriend, he could like zap the cavities right out of me. Pain-free. No insurance necessary.
I could sit around and wait all day.
Guys, I just finished. First of all, I love how this ended. I'm so hyped for book 3. I can't wait. Let me read some of the notes I made. Obviously, I can't really share what happens because it's all spoilers, but there was a lot of fantasy going on, lots of expedition, and I loved it. My first note is that the magic system is so illogical and I absolutely love it. It makes so much sense for it not to make sense at all. So in Emily's journal, when she's trying to describe some things that she sees, she literally has to be like, I can't explain it in a human words. It doesn't compute. And I get it. I also like how there was this one scene where Emily, and I think it happened in the first book too, where she was in a sort of fairy trance. And so she felt like she couldn't remember if she had done something. So she kept repeating herself because she couldn't tell if she had done it before or not. And I know exactly how that feels, because when you're dreaming and you're sort of aware that you're dreaming, or you're trying to like read in a dream and it's just not making sense. You know what I'm talking about, like that feeling of something not making sense and you're trying so hard to make it make sense. I just love how that was written. Heather Fawcett, excellent. My next note is that this book is less cozy, in my opinion, than Encyclopedia of Fairies, but it has more of an expedition kind of feel, which I don't think is like any worse or any better. I just think it's so different, and I do like that it is different. Because as much as I do want them to just bunker down in a cabin, if you get that too many times, I'm sure it gets boring. I mean, I wouldn't get bored personally, but I understand. I do really like how much exploring they did in this book. Next note I have is that I just love a quest, and I love that they actually called it a quest in this book at the end. And side note, I love Snowbell. He might be my new favorite side character. Actually, no, that's gonna go to Orga. But Snowbell's little, just this author is so good at writing side characters. Also, let me turn on a light. Like the characterization and the personalization she has for each and every character, it is just so good. Next, I wrote in here that it feels like I'm learning things. And it's something that I really liked about Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, is that while I'm reading fiction and while I can't like say that the fairy lore is actually academic and I'm learning something, it feels like I am. And the books that I read in 2023 after I read Encyclopedia of Fairies, they had things in there that I learned in Emily Wilde, talking about changelings, talking about brownies. And so I love that we get to explore a lot of different types of creatures, a lot of different types of fairies. We get some original tales. I don't know, I feel like I'm learning. And you know what? I think Emily Wilde would be very proud of the fact that I am getting some sort of academic pleasure from her journals and encyclopedias. And lastly, in the first book, Wendell had a chapter in the encyclopedia, and no spoilers of when it comes in the journal here, but he has a chapter in here and it is just so good. And again, Heather Fawcett, if you're watching, hi, I'm a fangirl. You are just, I'm gonna stop talking to her because it's making me nervous. She is just so good at writing, not just like description, but using the format of a journal to tell this story and to better characterize the characters. Oh my God. Like Wendell, he's so dramatic. And so as he's writing in this journal, he'll randomly say something like, my wrist aches dreadfully. What a tedious business journaling is. Anyway, I don't know, he's just got me giggling, okay? I did pre-order this book and I have so many highlights in here and I can't wait to get the book and actually underline things. I gotta say, I was laughing a lot in the last quarter of the book. Like there was just so, I just love this series. I love it. It's 5 stars, obviously. I would honestly adore, what is that child doing? Love nothing more than to be able to read from Emily's journals every single day. I would like to never stop reading this series. Never. Just such good work. Emily Fawcett, I'm talking to you again. You're amazing and I love you. This is probably a mess of a vlog, and I don't even know how much summarizing I did in the story, so if you haven't read it, this might have been so like, Allie, what are you even telling us? You're just telling us your reaction. But like, I guess that's kind of the point. Whatever. I'm gonna edit this and upload it, even if it doesn't make sense. Thank you so much. For those of you that have been around for video 1 and video 2, I can't wait to be doing these every year, I hope. I hope this series goes on forever. I will die a happy person if I get these books for another 50 years. That'd be amazing. Also, as kind of hesitant as I was to go on this journey with new characters, I loved them all by the end, and I loved how they played on each other's personalities. Just excellent job. Literally no notes. Like, amazing. All right, I'm gonna go. Definitely let me know who your favorite character is. Mine's still Poe. I love my boy Poe. And I will link down my video for Emily Wilde's map of Encyclopedia of Fairies down below in case you missed it. And I hope you have a magical, fairy-licious day. That was so bad, I'm sorry.